So this is going to be a presentation I've been looking forward to, and I hope you had a great impression of the colleges as Jan and I did as we toured around the campus and talked to students. So we're going to try to keep on schedule, and if you would help me welcome Dr. Jerry Davis here, Chancellor of the College of the Ozarks, and you can read up about everything in his bio, but he's here as an American patriot, and pleasure to have you here, Doctor. I know we have a high hurdle match here, trying to get up on the stage.
You can relax, I'm not going to play the piano for you. You don't want me to play the piano. I saw your group at your college yesterday, so I'm thinking, well, these people already know all there is to know about the college of Ozarks. You certainly saw hard-working students. And it's just a different kind of place, and I would share some of that with you. Part of I've been struggling to keep my voice. I've traveled so much in so many places, in so many time zones. I could be talking to you, it's 3 o'clock in my body. It's nice for me to be able to do something different today, not normally what I do. Sometimes, people want to know from me nowadays, what's the Chancellor? And the answer to that is, that's somebody that survived the college presidency 45 years and lived to tell about it. And so I finished my 45th year. I know that's hard to believe. They don't make it that long, but if you believe in what you're doing, you're willing to fight for it, you last longer than the rest of them. But I can't keep doing this forever. Years ago, when I got into college presidency, 1977, the country was all fouled up, not much as it is now, but pretty bad. Now I'm from Georgia, and I apologize out front for sending. I didn't vote for him. He wasn't my candidate, Jimmy Carter, but I was born in the county right next to him. And my friends would never let me forget that. They say, we didn't think we could ever find a president that would be any worse than your president, my president, than Jimmy Carter. Well, look around. Okay, I didn't come to talk to you about politics. When I got into college presidency, we have 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. And our kids were small then, and one of them quite likely to perform like that. And her name is Julie, and we were all adjusting to the college presidency. And that college at that time was in trouble, just like the College of the Ozarks was when I got here. And so it was an interesting time. Well, the kids went to, at that time, a grade school. We built our own grade school years later, but down the creek. If you're from Kentucky, you know what that means. And so Julie was in her class when her teacher, some of you look old enough to remember Art Linkletter. I thought you did. Me too. And he would line all these kids up like on these chairs on TV. He's asking questions. And sometimes he was trying to get away from some of their answers, you know. And so the teacher was asking these kids, 6 or 8 of them, about what their daddy did. Well, the first question to Julie was, "What does your daddy do, honey?" She said she didn't know. That's a good answer. and the teacher said, well, that's not true. No, he works at the college up there. And Julie shrugged her shoulders like, so what? And finally Julie said, well, I think he owns a gym. Well, the teacher said, no, he doesn't own a gym. He's the president of the college. And she finally admitted to that. Well, the teacher, not being real smart, didn't let it go at that. She wanted to know, what does the president of a college do? Same answer that she started with, I don't know. Oh, you do know, you know what he does. He's the president of the college. What does the president of a college do? Well, she kept picking it. Julie finally said to her, I don't know. But my mama says he spends too much of his time chasing all over this country trying to get these old ladies to turn their money over to him. She should have run for office. Well, I'm not doing that today, so relax. And I'm not playing the piano. I just want to talk about this remarkable place, Hardware Q. You know, when I came here, that was not used. I found a copy of the old Wall Street Journal article underneath some stairs, and I saw that article, and I thought, these people don't know how to sell anything. I mean, Hardware Q, that's zeroing in on the distinguishing characteristic. So I ran out and trademarked it. And so you see it now, it's been on national TV and everywhere else. It's a catchy slogan, I guess you'd say. As you probably know, if you went through the Keeter Center very much, the mission statement is printed in a lot of places. But so is the vision statement. We have a vision statement to produce, to educate students of Christ-like character who are well-educated, hard-working, patriotic. That's a lot. But we actually try to do that. I'm not going to name any other school. You name them yourself. We have too many colleges that the only way you know they had any religious or faith commitment, you'd have to look it up in the catalog, because they don't act like it. But our school is pervasive. And we, as the founder said, aim to provide a Christian education for students of either sex who are financially unable to pay for it. That's reflected in the 90% rule. If you're out and ask somebody on campus, they'll tell you about it. I just mentioned somebody who asked me about how do you get somebody in. 90% of the student must show a financial need. And that keeps that from getting too far away. We don't like mission drift. Now we have K through 12 now. I don't know if you know that or not. But it operates the same way. So everybody that comes in there are meeting the same standards. Even in the first grade, they do what are called chores. And they get graded. And everybody in the college works. And they get graded. So you can't hide from it. That's the real world out there. And we're trying to get them ready for it. If you look at the college, the Ozarks academically, I mean, we've made every who's who there is, USU, whatever that's worth. I mean, some people like it if they're in it, you know. And since we're in it all the time, I like it. Our nursing school was just named #1 nursing school in the state of Missouri. Quite an accomplishment for a little school like that. Packs a big wall. The Christian worldview is really inculcated in students by the fact they have to take World Vision 1 and Worldview 2. So they learn to view things through a biblical perspective. Now you don't see that much. All the faculty members have to produce a paper that shows how do they integrate faith and learning. And that's part of their evaluation. So we take that very seriously. The college did not have a patriotic goal until 1973. I remember what was going on in 1973. The so-called end of the Vietnam War didn't really end of 75. 1973, because the trustees, in their judgment, thought that patriotism was waning in America and had been replaced by what was going on in the streets. And then the country made a big mistake by blaming its own sons and daughters who served in a war that they were asked to serve in, and then thrown under the bus, so to speak, when they got back. So the board added patriotism. That was nominally done maybe during the 80s, but when I showed up, I didn't understand, well, where is it? I mean, what are we doing? Well, we got the flag out there at the front gate, and I got a few people around here I'm not sure that would salute that. They're not there anymore. I mean, if you're going to say you're patriotic, then act like it. And so we started lots of programs, Honor America Day, patriotic education, which includes mandatory military science. You don't see that many. Hey, students liked it. They absolutely liked it. A lot of my colleagues said, you can't get students to do that. Well, you don't come to college Ozarks and say what you're going to do. Somebody else will be given the opportunity. You're going to see 3 clips here. First one's just kind of an introduction. And then there's one off of Fox News with my friend Pete Hicks. And then the third one is a clip of what we call the citizen trip. All students have to take worldview. All students have to take patriotic education, which includes the fact that the college, we pay for it, send them to Washington. And when that started, I insisted, you take those kids over here to Arlington first, so that they got the right perspective of just who in fact paid for their freedom. Yes. And then go to the other places. And I think we're going to do that again this fall. I went with one trip, 150 students on a chartered airplane of some sort. So after we see the clips, I'll say more about the suing the government. I guess I'll be known for suing the government. Well, I regret others didn't join us. A lot of people did. So religious liberty, it really is under threat in this country. I would never believe it. Not growing up in rural Georgia, in a public school where we pledged the flag and had to school, I'd be in more when I got home. That's an effective. You think that's funny, do you?
I know it's real.
Yeah, it was real, I can tell you that. So, Beth, put the first one up here.
In the middle of the Ozark Mountains, there is a college. A college that's a little different. A college where Christianity and patriotism are as important as academics. A college where hard work isn't just appreciated, it's expected. A college where the only thing higher than the students' GPAs is their character and values. In the middle of the Ozark Mountains, there is a college that's emerged into the national spotlight as one of America's finest, most distinctive institutions.
We are College of the Ozarks, and we are the American dream.
Because of College of the Ozarks, we've been given the opportunity to achieve a higher education.
An education of the head,
an education of the heart,
and an education of the hands.
We study the men and women that made our country the land of the free
and the home of the brave.
We learn the Bible.
And never forget, we are one nation under God.
And we know the value of work.
Hard work.
At College of the Ozarks, I'm working to earn my American dream.
Instead of piling up student loans
or relying on my parents,
I'm working for my own education.
I will graduate debt-free
and be a better,
stronger,
more responsible
citizen because of that experience.
We know we have this amazing opportunity at College of the Ozarks because we're blessed to live in the United States of America.
I'm free to study and learn and grow because of the sacrifices of our forefathers,
our grandmothers, and our grandfathers,
and the heroes that serve today and give me this chance to be a student.
Maybe that's why at Hard Work U, we stand a little taller when we hear our national anthem.
Or stop and say thank you when we see a veteran.
Because we learn the freedom to be a student isn't a right, but a privilege that we've been given.
In return for the sacrifices of our forefathers, I'm committed to do my part to make this country a better place.
To make this world a better place.
Because at College of the Ozarks, they don't just educate students, they teach us to be accountable American citizens.
And prepare us to take our role in American history.
As a nurse.
As a farmer.
As a teacher.
As a soldier.
When people talk about the kids these days, they obviously haven't met the kids from College of the Ozarks.
We're working hard to make America proud of our generation.
And to be worthy of the opportunity we've been given.
At College of the Ozarks, I'm earning more than a degree.
I'm receiving a life-changing character education.
We are College of the Ozarks.
And we are the American dream.
What I just described for you is the character of probably America's most unusual school. And the next clip, there are two things that make that school unique. Two. It may not be what you think they are. Yes, and we have a cultural goals, do a lot of travel, convocations with everybody from Margaret Thatcher to Schwarzkopf to Benjamin Netanyahu. We had them all. The students are exposed to those type leaders that we think they should be exposed to. Sometimes people say, well, you got all these conservative leaders. Well, who knows that they're conservative? They represent traditional American values. If you want to hear some kook, go to your public schools. That's what you pay for. But here, we're paying for it, basically. And the students like these speakers. I mean, I think we had 4,000 people crammed into the gym when Margaret Thatcher was here. She's my favorite. We need a lot more of Margaret Thatcher's. No nonsense. Very personable. She visited every workstation on the campus. the only visitor to ever do that. And I thought, well, there's a real politician, you know. Some students scared him to death when she went around behind the counter where they make the baskets to show them how to do it. She went to the fruitcake kitchen over there and had a discussion about what was in the fruitcake. I didn't have a clue. In the museum, I don't know if you've been in the museum, there's a, most people want to see the hillbilly's car and make their pictures in it. She wanted to see that Rolls Royce, but she didn't care about hillbilly anything. She just walked right by. Pulled up the hood of the Rolls Royce and asked me to discuss the engine. I know about as much about the engine of a Rolls Royce as I do how to play that piano. So the director happened to be close by and said, right here's a guy I'm going to ask to do it. Do him one of us. Well, he did better than I would have done. So we do that. But getting around to the two, they make it different or unique would be the work ethic we're going to see, the one from Fox News next. And the patriotic goal. The fact that we're academic and cultural, I mean, every college in the land is saying that. I'm not saying they do a good job of it, but that's not unusual. Show me another college that requires patriotic anything. In fact, I don't even know if the military academies, they're wandering off the it. They're wavering, shall we say. DEI, you know what that is? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, Karl Marx would have been happy with it, but not George Washington. That's what's going on in these universities. So, patriotic goal. If you take patriotic goal and the work ethic or vocational goal, nobody's doing it. And I've probably been on 40 or 50 accrediting visits. Most of them I was a chairman. I've seen all kinds of colleges. They all want to be like Harvard. I don't know why they want to do that. I mean, we don't need any more Harvard. Look what they've done to us in Washington. Because you can get on the train and ride down to Washington and go see your congressman and become the lead, I guess, if you want to be. So, Beth, if you would show us the Pete Hicks. By the way, he didn't go to the audit forum. I'm kidding him about that. He likes the cow.
How great is that? Not far from Branson, Missouri is the College of the Ozarks as they perform live and wake up everybody in the neighborhood down there in the Ozarks. And Pete Hegseth joins us right now. And Pete, we've been hearing a lot about that particular college, and now you're going to talk to some of the kids about why they went there.
That's right. It's a really special school with a special mission. As we've said, faith, freedom, patriotism, and hard work here at Hard Work U are what makes this a very special place. We're going to talk to a bunch of kids, but the nice part is it's all about opportunity and lifting kids out, giving them a debt-free future, but also a lot of folks from the local area that came from backgrounds that maybe otherwise they wouldn't have been able to go to college or have these kinds of opportunities, which is so special. Lane, where are you from?
I'm from Mount Vernon, Missouri.
Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so my grandfather served in the Air Force. My father served in the Navy. My brother's currently in the Air Force. So to go to a college that just really values patriotism and that also can graduate debt-free from was just a great opportunity.
Yeah, patriotism, part of the motto of this campus. This campus got a lot of attention when they decided after the Colin Kaepernick ad that they were not going to no longer use Nike apparel, making the statement that we stand for the anthem. What does it say to you about the principles of this college?
Yeah, so the Nike decision made by the college was like a direct reflection of the patriotic goal, very consistent with our mission and vision statement. And there's one thing about this university, it's that patriotism definitely runs deep.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the service in your family. Now we're going to talk to some other folks, too. All right. What's your name, ma'am?
I'm Nadia.
Nadia, how are you? I shouldn't call you ma'am. You're young.
Oh, you're good. Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you from?
I'm from a small agriculture background. So I grew up on a beef farm here in Southwest Missouri. So College of the Ozarks is just right in my backyard. And then my parents also went here. So I've known about the college since I was little, and just getting the opportunity to go here and graduate debt-free is amazing and a blessing.
Special place, for sure.
Very special.
Now, you follow politics. You've seen the news of the day. The whole world is obsessed with the latest iteration of the Brett Kavanaugh hearings and controversies. As a young woman, how do you react to that?
I just think that this is going to change the nation just with how our processes go, and I think with any hearing and with any trial, we should just go back to the Constitution. We have the right to a fair trial and to due process, and we live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty.
Do you feel like Brett Kavanaugh has been treated fairly? Has he been presumed innocent or presumed guilty?
I think he has been presumed guilty, and so I think by just going back and following the Constitution and due process, then we'll see how everything ends up.
Do you guys teach the Constitution here at the College of the Ozarks?
Yes, we do. We do. Yes. So we're big on the Constitution, and we actually also give out constitutions, to students just freely. We have a club here on campus, Young Americans for Freedom, who is always willing to give out
Very cool.
constitutions.
Did you know that the Harvard Law School no longer requires its law students to learn about the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution? No. It's sad, actually. Sorry to depress you this morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. What's your name?
I'm Lauren.
Lauren, I'm Pete. Tell me a little bit about your background.
So I grew up in a small business family, so I learned the ethics of hard work at a very young age. So this school is very appealing to me with the fivefold mission and the goals.
So as you watch what's unfolding with Brett Kavanaugh, I'm going to ask the same question. Your reaction to the swirling controversy?
I mean, I agree a lot with what Nadia said. I mean, we definitely have the right to a fair trial, and I do think that he has been treated unfairly, and he was proven that they treated him as he was guilty since the very beginning. And I think it's really sad because we live in a world where any kind of accusation, people automatically think the person is guilty, and that is not what the Constitution says, and that is not how we should act. So I think it's very scary for humans for
young men and young women for the future.
Absolutely. I think it's scary for both, for the men, because as soon as somebody says something, people obviously assume it, and they don't wait till innocent until proven guilty. And then for the women, those who are actually, if there's false accusations, and that's scary for the women who have actually, it makes them, the women who actually have been hurt and mistreated, to be believed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Great stuff. All right, we're going to keep moving. I think there's a Marine over here. What do you guys say in the Marine Corps? Hoorah! Hoorah! That's right. We say hooah. Hoorah is kind of cooler. What's your name?
My name is Dakota.
Dakota, and you serve currently in the Marine Corps, right?
Yes, sir. Currently with the Marines. Been since 2014.
Let's talk a little bit about President Trump, his treatment of the military and veterans. What's your take of how he's doing so far as Commander-in-Chief?
Absolutely. I believe he's done a lot for the military. I believe he's a big supporter of the military. His actions prove that every day. And I think compared to where we were a few years ago, I think nationally we're a lot stronger. We're a lot more respected in the international community. We're a lot bigger of a player because of that stance that he's taken.
And thank you for your service. What are you going to do in the Marine Corps?
It's my pleasure. And the goal is to do law. So JAG law with the Marines. Yes, sir.
All right. Be a good JAG officer. Be nice to the infantrymen, all right? We make tough decisions at a moment's notice. All right. Ma'am, come here. Young lady. Tell us your story a little bit.
My name's Naomi. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, and I am from a family of 11 children. So
you got me beat.
Yeah, I have a pretty big family. So going to college was kind of like our own responsibility. So to be able to come to college and graduate debt free, that means the world to me.
And what does the patriotic mission of this school mean to you as well?
So I'm from a military family. I have 3 siblings who currently serve, and just being at a school where they really do stand up for veterans and patriotism, that also it's just incredible for me to be able to stand up for patriotism without actually having to join the military myself.
Yeah, we're all citizens of this free republic, and either we stand up for it or we lose it. So thank you. What a great group we got here. I could have talked to all of them, guys. Seriously, they all know what's going on with the news of the day and politics. And they all have opinions, as you can hear. So we're still going to be here at the College of the Ozarks. Hard work, you.
Very impressed.
And they're debt-free.
Yeah, very mature.
You think those kids are cheering. Just imagine the parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Debt-free.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks, Pete.
We've been on Fox News a lot. He alluded to something I was going to bring up later. taking this stand that the college has taken has not been without controversy. After the college refused to buy Nike-made materials anymore, I thought the computer was going to blow up with red lights blinking in the phone. But well, I'm not going to duck it. I made that decision. I didn't pass it off on anybody else. How could a college that claims to have a patriotic goal that's teaching students about serving and loving the country stand by and say nothing when a corporation that, as best I understand it, uses a slave trade in Southeast Asia to sell tennis shoes for less? They're not the only ones doing it either. And then sitting down during the national anthem. I don't care what color anybody is or whether they got green polka dot hair. I mean, nowadays it's all over the place. If you're an American, you should respect the country that gives you the right even to do something stupid. But everybody owes the country something. Everybody. In higher education, they don't like to hear me say this, I'm sure, has been derelict in its responsibility of teaching citizenship. It's bad in a lot of big universities. So we had a falling out, I guess that's the word, with the NAIA over there because we started requiring schools that play us to sign a contract that they would respect the American flag and the national anthem. And those schools that wouldn't do it, we wouldn't play them. I mean, we've been in a shoving match with 2 or 3 people. But we also got lots of support around the United States. I mean, it's really inspiring, I guess maybe that's the word, to see the response of just decent, God-fearing citizens that I don't know. They write these letters, and some of them send money, some of them want to help. And I'm thinking, well, the heartbeat's still going out there in America. And I travel a lot. Just got back from Washington this week, listening to others, give their observations of what's going on in the country. I sense that people really are fed up. They don't like it. And the best example of that were the ladies over in Virginia when the governor made a big mistake telling those women they didn't have any business telling them what to be taught in schools. And when I heard that, I turned to Shirley and I said, that may be the biggest political blunder I've ever heard. They know what you can't tell a bunch of women. They're not going to do what he said. The next morning, sure enough, one right on the front, shaking her fist. This was, and I'm thinking, oh boy, this is too good to be true. I mean, it stirred up a hornet's nest. Cost the governor's job, cost school board members their job. Even in San Francisco, they're kicking people off school board. Dallas, they're doing it. There is hope out there. Don't give up. I don't know what giving up is. I mean, Winston Churchill had it right. Don't give up. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. And so, I think the masses of Americans are fed up. They don't like it. As odd as it is, a COVID problem, they have to see what their kids were learning at school and they didn't like it. And they don't want their kids taught to be told they're racist or whatever. That's not good. So I guess maybe around to my last clip here, citizen trip. You'll show them that one, and we'll get around talking about suing the government.
Our day started really super early.
It was dark outside.
My alarm clock woke me up at 3:40 a.m.
I'm not used to waking up that early.
We had registration at 4:30. By 5 o'clock, we were all on buses and heading out to Branson Airport.
I've never flown before. I was definitely a little nervous getting on the plane.
By 7 o'clock, we were already on the plane and taking off.
I was like, oh man, this is happening.
So the citizen trip is the College of the Ozarks' opportunity to take college students to our nation's capital.
The students who have entered in the fall of 2019, their senior year, they will be taking Citizen Trip 401. And we're actually doing a trial run with a group of students right now.
We're cramming as much as we can into 2 days and go home very well informed, but very, very tired when it's over.
We really hope that the students come away with a further understanding of the college's patriotic goal, an understanding of American heritage, civic responsibility, love of country, and a willingness to defend that.
I believe the College of the Ozarks is the only one doing this type of thing. I mean, we're the only ones that are willing to spend the type of money required to bring this many students and see this many things at our nation's capital.
Most students have to show financial need to have any chance of getting admitted to the College of the Ozarks. Well, if they have to show financial need to get in, how are they supposed to pay for a trip to Washington, D.C.? Well, they won't. So we do that because of the generosity of people all over the United States who realize how very different this college is.
The college truly believes this is an investment in the future, not just the future of the students that are here on this trip right now, but for generations to come.
We think it's a must. If we want to say that we have a patriotic mission and we want to do everything we can to be intentional with trying to teach these kids about their past and about what it means to be an American, we need to come to our nation's capital, see it firsthand.
Well, this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity to enhance our education about our nation, about the role that those who have served our country play.
The first place that we went to this morning was Arlington National Cemetery, which as soon as we pulled up was just an overwhelming experience because you see the tombstones upon tombstones.
I couldn't help but get a little bit emotional. Some of those that served were only 20 years old, and that's how old I am now. And it's like that could be one of my classmates. It's just crazy to think that someone my age or younger could make that big of a sacrifice.
You gain a respect, and even more just deeper respect for the people who've served.
And I got to thinking I too should be willing to sacrifice, willing to defend this great country that we call our home. If not me, then who?
Right now we're at the Museum of the Bible, and it's been really great.
I was really excited about coming here because not just the history of our country, but the history of our faith. And to have this in our capital shows that we have not forgotten where we've come from. Tonight we have come over to see some of the monuments, the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial, and at those two places we got to hear from two gentlemen who actually served in those wars.
It is an honor always to speak to any group from the College of the Ozarks, and it's always an honor to speak as a World War II veteran. People don't understand what it's like to die for the country. We had no helicopters back in those days. You either died or you lived, and most died. They were screaming in unworldly kinds of voices. The morphine had worn off. They were all severely wounded. Many of them died before they could get them to the doctor. Young people ought to know what their forebears went through.
It makes you really think about what they did for us and the freedoms that we are afforded now in this country.
I fought in Vietnam in 1968, 1969. Deep divisions
in our nation at that time. We didn't lose the war on the battlefield of Vietnam. Those Americans fought with bravery and courage. It was lost in our hearts and our minds. The American public believed that we could not win that war. They had lost the will to fight. And America is the strongest nation on earth, and we're her citizens. And she'll be the strongest nation on earth as long as we are willing to fight for her. And fight and win is what we must do.
It was a totally different perspective than I feel like we talk about in history. We talk about the honor of the soldiers, but hearing the actual suffering and hearing the hardship, that it wasn't an easy sacrifice, but they made it anyway. It gave me a different perspective on the actual sacrifice they're making. It's not a small one.
Right now, I'm looking directly at the Lincoln Memorial, and that's amazing. Like, I really just can't put it into words. I was talking to Candace earlier, and she told me, wow, are we awake right now? Is this real? Is this actually happening? And I thought to myself, really, am I awake?
So it is 10:56, so I can't even calculate how many hours that has been, but yeah, it's been a great day.
This is just the first day, and I am so expectant and excited for tomorrow and what it holds. It's been a crazy day, but so worth it, so worth it.
We're going to the White House!
I mean, how can you start a day off any better than going to see the White House?
For me, being in the White House was just really amazing in the sense that we were walking where history's walked.
Today we got to meet the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence.
He had an open Q&A with us. He thanked us and said we were the greatest students in the United States.
He kind of knew what we were about, which is kind of big that the Vice President knew what this small college in Branson, Missouri was all about. He was prepared to talk about Hard Work U.
The second day at Washington, D.C. has been a lot of things compacted into one. We went to the Smithsonian Museum of American History, went to the National Archives Center.
Standing in front of the Constitution, it was just really amazing to see that those are more than just words on paper, that they have actually changed and developed our country into what it is.
We're going to the
Finishing up our visit by going to the Capitol, which is amazing. It's our nation's capital.
The Capitol, we got to just tour the building. We go into the rotunda, and that was beautiful. Learned a lot about history and about the House of Representatives and the Senate. It really is such a blessing just to be standing here in Washington, D.C.
I'm grateful for this opportunity because I would never be able to do this on my own.
I haven't spent any money on this trip, and I'm so blessed and thankful that our college would provide us with this experience.
I'm going to leave this place with so many memories. It's truly eye-opening and it brings to life what I've learned in the classroom.
It does make me excited to just learn more about our country. People have worked so hard in creating this country and protecting this country, and I think it's something that as a citizen I need to be informed and be invested in.
Learning about American history is one thing, but just being able to be here, seeing it like live, it's just a whole nother thing I just can't even put into words.
Makes me proud to be American, even more so than I was before coming here.
We love DC!
That's a great bunch of students. I knew most of them. So I think now I'll make a few comments about suing the government. Man, I never imagined that I would ever be a part of suing the government that represents the country, that allowed kids like me, I came from a worse background than some of these did, to chase my American dream. But I did it. And got the more to go along. Religious liberty matters. If you lose your religious liberty, you've lost everything. You think about it now. If the government's going to tell us about how to run religious schools and churches are not how that is, then you got no chance. I ain't got no hope. if you study much about Marxism, the socialist way of doing business, it doesn't work. And a lot of people sacrifice everything. And now that our students know that, they know that. The first trip we took students to Normandy, and I went with them. And I remember standing on Omaha Beach, quite a famous place. And some kid looked up to me and said, well, I had no idea this happened. I'm thinking, well, which cave did you live in? I mean, you see these interviews on the sidewalks and they ask, Stu, do you know who George Washington was? No, they don't. They probably think Omaha Beach is in Nebraska. I mean, really, it's not that I don't think they really hate the country. I think a lot don't know anything about it. And they've never been taught what their responsibility is. Back around to the lawsuit in the 8th Circuit. What brought that about was the first day of the new presidency. And I don't really care who the president, I mean, I was objected to what they were doing no matter, I don't care what party anybody is. I mean, either American or you're not. And I was on the commission, 1776 commission. We were all fired the first day. It really was a great honor in my life to get fired by some people. But, so the executive orders, I don't think they were well thought out. I think a lot of that was how do you make some segment of your voters happy or something. And so, because all of what I'm saying is my opinion, you can have another one. That's not going to offend me. After all, it is American, right? I mean, anyway, the executive order regarding HUD, Housing Urban Development, was used, in our opinion, to circumvent the law and Congress. I mean, if you're going to make changes in regulations, the Administrative Procedures Act requires certain things. Public hearings, public input, None of that happened. Just one day we get lawyers telling us, do you know what they're going to do to you? What? They're off on gender of various types. I mean, now I can't keep up with them. And that your college will know, you won't be able one day to have biological females in a female dorm. Same thing. You won't be able to do that. That's crazy. It's nuts. You think those ladies got worked up in Virginia, where do you start? Tell them that's going on. Probably does at a lot of schools now anyway, but not ours. Certainly not a religious school that subscribes to a biblical worldview. I mean, sex is not really complicated in the Bible, is it? One male, one female. So we don't accept transgender. We don't think that's right. And we have a right, we say, to enforce it. At the college, every student signs a compliance form when they get in, agreeing to the college's standards, including lifestyle expectations. Now, that hadn't been a problem, but if that were a problem, well, I guess we just, well, you were dishonest when you fill out your application. Is this your signature? I don't even know that some of the courses seem so bizarre. We filed that in federal court with Alliance Defending Freedom. They won the Marines case, out in Washington. And so the first round we lost with a well-appointed judge. who said we didn't have standing. And then we went to the 8th Circuit before 3 judges, and 2-1, they said we didn't have standing. Well, at least we were picking up votes, right? We're moving right direction. So now the choice is, do you want, does the college, by way of its lawyers, plan to petition the entire 8th Circuit Court en bloc, all of them, make them all vote on it? Or do we directly go and see if the Supreme Court will take the case? Because if you look at the cases going on around the country now, the swimmer, the Marine, the cake baker, I happen to know him, been on stage with him. So the court is more, quote, religious friendly, end quote, than it's been in years and years. And so what the government is saying to us is that you have not been harmed yet. It's like saying to somebody, I'm going to shoot you, but until I do, then you can't do anything about it. I mean, we really were filing a way to keep something from happening instead of trying to undo all the damage that we were forced to do. I already got letters from moms telling me, I'm not sending my daughter over there. No, I wouldn't either. We're in agreement. Now, our college, the Ozarks, is stronger than most local colleges. We'd hold out longer than everybody else. But it's not over yet. And I think 14 states, Attorney General, signed on to amicus briefs on our behalf. 14 states. Probably all of them are represented here. So it's not like we're out here stirring something up that others don't want any part of. That's a lot. 14 states. That represents a lot of people that don't like the same thing we don't like. And I think these are states. We did get an amicus brief from some churches. Well, you know, through all of this ordeal, it's very disappointing to me. A kid that grew up in a church, raised as an orphan by the church. Where are they? Where are the real Americans? Why don't people stand up? Why not? You got to push people for it. That's what happened over Virginia. If you do, there's going to be change. And they keep pushing until we, the people, you know, the founders intended for us to be in charge, not a bunch of bureaucrats that don't know anything or believe anything, don't tell us how to live. That's not what the founders of this country intended at all. And so, religious liberty, it's at risk. One other thing I mentioned, Beth, you get one of those little booklets. You're in different states. I'm not going around professing to see how much trouble I can cause. It's just that I can't get it back. Most people, they just don't get involved with that. For example, we got the congressman from Texas had to go, and there are now some from Missouri, to introduce and co-sponsor joint resolution House Bill 59. Now, some of you just probably saw that book. And by the way, I don't get any money off of the books. I get really good. Give it to either Camp Lookout or the military. That's where I get the money. But these little booklets, if you want to get one, it's called The Resolution. And at the end of the book, I call to the families of Vietnam veterans, for those who were mistreated during and after the Vietnam War, because that's the right thing to do. I don't care what your politics are. That's not what this is about. Is that no nation can send its sons and daughters to die on the battlefield, like some that I know, and then turn their back on. When I first started hiring people at a college 45 years ago, veterans wouldn't even put it on their application. I had to ask them, were you in the military? Well, yeah. Well, where is it? I can't find it on here. Well, we were told, don't write that down. They'll be held against you. Well, really? I had two brothers over there. You imagine? So I've spent the last 45 years seeing how many I could hire. Well, I find that veterans they certainly know a lot more than they have assets that other generations don't have. So that's all I had to say for you. If you have a few questions, I can answer them. Or if you're hungry that you want to run out of here, that's fine. I'll join. Thank you for all your questions. I used to teach biology. Can you believe that? I thought anatomy and physiology was much easier back then. There were only 2 sections.
There's still only 2 seconds.
Any questions?
You want to teach the Supreme Court what a woman is?
Sir?
You want to teach the Supreme Court what a woman is?
I've probably already given you enough opinion. I mean, if you can't answer that question, you better go back to law school and read the Bible while she's at it. You know, Clarence Thomas, he can't even teach a class over some university near Washington. And Bill Bennett, who was the Secretary of Education during President Reagan, this morning he said, well, a guy with a life story like he's got, and a law school won't even give him a chance to be heard. Whatever happened to what kind of an interpretation of the Constitution these people are going by? I mean, that's terrible. You don't have to like what he said, but that's a law school of all things. I mean, some of these so-called elite schools, you know, the guy that runs Turning Point got on national TV this morning and recommended people don't send your kid to college. I mean, he said it.
I've thought that for years. I've been taught that for years. I kind of changed my mind yesterday.
Send them to the Ozarks.
Literally, for generations, I've been told, don't go to college. And I believe that by seeing people, but I changed my mind yesterday.
Yeah, well, I guess I would say that don't go to college unless you know what it represents. And don't think that just because you're paying somebody 50 grand that you're willing to pay that kind of money. That means anything. I don't care what it says it is. Go visit, talk to the people that are not the professional recruiters. Ask some of the moms and daddies of kids that have gone there. And then you'll know whether you want to make an investment or not. By the way, the College of the Ozarks quit the federal loan program about 15, 20 years ago. Oh, you know, people said I was hurting the poor. What do they know about it? Number one, I was running the place. And number two, I'm pretty sure that I qualified to be in poorer than they were. So what's the point? No, debt is bad. It is. It really is. And our students graduate debt-free. Who can say that? I don't know if anybody else can. It's a remarkable school. would expect that it would always continue that way. I certainly hope so. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
Are there any other schools that are trying to copy your model?
Yes.
I mean, do they like come to you?
We get a lot of visitors that look at that, and unfortunately, a lot of them are interested in money. You know, how much money do you make off of this? And that's not really what it's about. They're in trouble financially, and they're thinking, well, maybe this guy's got some secret, you know. There's some new colleges that have popped up. The one's on national TV land a few days ago. I think it's in Ohio. That they were going to require work. You know, everyone knows what a Pell Grant is, right? Well, then why not require that if you accept a Pell Grant, that you got to work half of it off? What's with this handout mentality? What's that going to get you? We get a lot of visitors, some internationally. So I mean, it's caught the attention of the public because you don't have to pay tuition, you work, and you graduate debt free. Well, the average mom and dad, you're singing their song. But you got to agree to a lot of other things to get in. I mean, there is this thing called accountability. Well, it's a pretty tame audience. I'll have to come back and talk to you.
We all agree with you.
Well, thank you very much.